When progesterone dips, what's happening is the mechanism that she had to keep the stress levels manageable goes away, and then all of a sudden she gets flooded with the stress that was already in her system, but now she doesn't have a mechanism to be able to control it or balance it. That's when all hell breaks loose. When our nervous systems aren't balanced, the medications that we're taking, our bodies can't absorb it because it's still in fight or flight. So specifically with somatic freedom, which is the body of work that I developed, it's different than any other somatic movement sequence out there, is that I can see where in the body and why we need to do those specific movements. Let's say you do a somatic program and they're like, oh, this is for your lymph. I'm actually able to see the breast tissue, the lymph nodes themselves, the way that it reduces inflammation in the digestive tract, the way it allows your tailbone to soften. You're also massaging your hips, which is now getting into the anger, the resentment. I've spent 30 years healing bodies, working on bodies, and I've looked at the patterns in people's lives. And 99% of the time, when someone's sick, when someone gets diagnosed with something, when someone has a digestive issue, they're just looking at the symptom. They're not looking at the root cause. With women, as our hormones start to change, our main operating system that we had in place with our hormones somewhat regulated, but menstruation dysregulates them, which is why if any of you experienced acne or the bloating or the diarrhea or the constipation in different phases of your cycle, those are all signs that your nervous system was already dysregulated. No one needs to know what's actually happening underneath the surface, but I personally find it really helpful when we know, oh, if I do this, that's going to help the inflammation in my digestion. If I do this, it's going to help my intuition and my libido. So, no program that I know of is talking about the specifics and also then the traumas related to the specific dysfunctions. So, for example, every woman that I've dealt with that's been sexually abused has had thyroid issues, and then also self-esteem issues and weight issues. What I'm looking at is what's the psychological root cause and what move can we do to massage and move the memory of that trauma out of the tissues, the fascia, the bones, the nervous system, the vagus nerve, the tailbone, the hips, the reproductive organs, the digestive tract. So that's what I would say is so different. I'm aware of the energetic healing that's happening, and that's what I focus on. I know how deeply it heals people. And here's the deal is every single one of us is going to have a different trajectory of how long it takes to hit the sweet spot of your nervous system feeling safe for long enough that then a lot of symptoms start to heal pretty quickly because the nervous system hit that regulation point. So when it doesn't hit the regulation point and there's still these moments of ups and downs, what happens is your digestion's better for a week and then it's a little off. Your energy levels are better for a week and then it's a little off. Your headaches are better for 3 weeks and then it comes back for a couple days. The moves are specifically designed to keep your nervous system calm, not spike cortisol like high intensity workouts, but then massage the parts of the body that have been hanging on to grief or anger or resentment. When I started this journey, right, I gained 15 pounds overnight, the anxiety, the depression, the panic attacks. I mean, I'm a healer. When this hit, I couldn't even get out of bed. And I'm a single mom. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the worst mom ever. I can't even make my kid dinner. I was a shell of myself. I didn't know it was perimenopause. All these symptoms happened at once and it scared the shit out of me. I'm like, I heal people for a living, and I was terrified I was sick. I did the thing that I tell everyone what we shouldn't do, which is Not that we shouldn't go to a doctor, but we shouldn't give over our awareness and our intuition. If a doctor says you need to take this and it feels like you got punched in the gut, or you get heavy in your neck, or you swallow hard, you know how sometimes someone says something and you just feel off about it, but you don't know why or what? That's always a clue that method isn't right. But when we get desperate and everything falls apart, we're like, okay, I'll take the medication because you're telling me this is going to help my symptoms. 99% of the time, doctors are treating the symptom, but here's the deal: medications and prescriptions do not fix the symptom, they only help soften the effects of the symptom. Does that make sense? I had a conversation with this doctor. He was a medical doctor and then he became a functional medicine doctor. So he has two PhDs. And he was like, while I was in med school, I got sick and nothing in med school could help me. So I studied functional medicine and that's how I healed. I think it's a matter of we go to the doctor, we talk to the specialist, we see the healer, and we go, okay, I'm going to see what information they give, and then I'm going to see which information resonates with me. So when something resonates, you lean forward, it's light. It might not feel good, but you're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay. So now I at least have some information that I can go off of. But if we keep handing our sickness over to an expert that hasn't been with our body since birth, that has no idea of our psychological, emotional, financial, mental, religious traumas, cultural traumas, then the doctor's simply trying to get you to not feel the symptom, but it doesn't necessarily address where it could get healed. So I think what's different about my course in particular and nervous system in general gets to the root. Almost all digestive issues, nervous system. I don't know this for sure yet, but I believe the majority of autoimmune disease is a nervous system dysregulation. So chronic stress from birth or chronic inability to deal with the environmental stressors taxes people's systems. Everybody has a different case. Everybody has a different emotional cause. And it's not until we're willing to let go of the story of the emotional cause that that's when the body really begins to start to heal in a way that is new for the body, because a body can't heal when it doesn't feel safe. If you're stressed out about all the medications you have to take, that's pumping high levels of cortisol in your body. And then those high levels of cortisol are activating the body's fight or flight. What's fascinating is even when we go after our dreams, if it's an unknown future that we've never lived before, it can also activate the fight or flight response in the body, causing all these symptoms to resurface again. So that's why it's so valuable to know this is psychological, it's physiological, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's all the things combined, and we have to address it at the whole. I thought before I hit menopause, I had a cure. I was teaching the no judgment diet and I turned it into don't diet, be happy. I'd been teaching it for 10 years around the world and it changed my life. But I was still 10 pounds, 15 pounds puffier than I am now. And it wasn't until I went, oh, I was able to manage it, but there was still a lot of trauma in my system. The body needs to move the stuck emotions, energy in motion. Every sadness is just an energy in motion, but we go, oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh my God, I'm stuck with this grief. Oh my God, I really don't like my body. Oh my God, I'm really struggling with my health. Now our mental game is actually the roadblock to our healing, even if we are doing the nervous system regulation. So it has to be a combination of all of the things. And the more you do the nervous system, the more your mental juxtaposition begins to also change. It's when we see hope that we can increase that hope. When we look for gratitude, we can keep increasing the gratitude. When we look for things that we can anticipate, be satisfied with, then we look for more of those energies, we get more lightness and space in our body. But when we're looking for things that are wrong, we actually end up hoarding the energy in our body. Try being married to someone that tries to find the wrongness in you every day. Oh my God, I can't do anything right. So it's sort of a holistic approach. I can see from a neurological, physiological, and psychological perspective the way that these moves heal the nervous system from the inside out. And that's what I'm trying to communicate through the course. That's why we're having these live calls along with the course so that you can get more information, but also so we can physically heal any roadblocks or symptoms or mental juxtapositions. We're not wrong for them. We all have them. It's the only story we knew to tell to explain what we thought was wrong. But if the story we've been telling didn't heal the symptom, then that story isn't actually the story that's keeping us stuck. It's something deeper that we might not even be cognitive of. And that's what I'm fascinated to uncover in each of you is what's the story that you're telling yourself that is the story that's keeping the trauma or the pattern or the weight or the inflammation or the dis-ease or the headaches or the pain or the financial stress or the relationship stress. That's what I'm fascinated by. And that's where my genius lies. In the most gentle but non-gentle way I can, offer a different perspective that might open the door to you then massaging it out on your own as you do the moves. What I love about these moves is that it's a lifestyle. It's a 10-minute empower yourself to find peace, empower yourself to de-stress, empower yourself to make space in the body. And that's what we're doing here. Your body already knows the story that's keeping you stuck. Does your head need to figure out the story in order for you to release it? Or do you need to give your body permission to release it without you needing a logical explanation? Your
Yeah.
head needs a logical
Yeah.
explanation, but does your body need a logical explanation? Do you have two kids? When they were babies and couldn't talk, and they would cry or throw a temper tantrum before they were verbal, were you like, I need a verbal explanation before I can come to your aid?
I don't know if I did that. I would get more frustrated of why can't I help them?
Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting to the root of your story. The story you've been telling yourself is irrelevant, but the story that's actually somewhat connected to keeping you stuck is why can't I help them? When I say that, my throat closes a little bit. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it along my jawline. I can feel my eyes want to water. So, this is not going to be a cognitive answer from you. I'm going to have you lean back a little bit and I want you to see where in your body you feel this question.
I would say in my throat.
Well, I haven't even asked the question yet.
Oh, I thought you meant the question about why can't I help them, but I feel like
Yeah. Okay, that's great. But this was the other question I was going to ask to get deeper underneath that. Why can't I help them? Which is, how old were you when you felt helpless? And where do you feel that in your body? Try not to use your head. Go
okay.
from the neck down. How old were you? This is not going to be cognitive. First answer, best answer, right?
Yeah, I would say I was young,
And
and
where did you feel it in your body?
I just feel like a tightness through my core.
Yep. And all I can perceive is like this, I- like this energy.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
And so my guess is that that is one of the energies at the root of trying to figure it out and feeling helpless that you can't.
Yeah.
But do you need to figure it out, or do you need to just hold your body like you would hold your babies?
I think maybe that's the problem. I've been trying to figure it out for, I'll just say,
I,
years.
when I'm doing the movements, I'm like, hey, body, you have full fucking permission. It's life changing. Once you realize that a woman's body cannot heal logically, Western medicines try to approach a symptom logically. They try to resolve the symptom logically. But a woman's body is far more run by her emotional regulation or dysregulation. Women are very intelligent creatures, but the superpower that women have is their intuition far more than men do. Women's intuition is off the charts. And then when we spike in our hormones, we increase the amount of information we're receiving all at once, and the system gets overloaded. And that's when the physical breakdown happens. And then we're like, okay, let me figure this out. And the body's like, fuck you. Like we're we're an emotional regulating system. And then when we jump into our logical brain to try to find out or discover or logic the solution or logic the problem, so that we can match the solution to the problem we think we have, but it never works that way. Women's bodies heal when they feel safe and when they're connected to their intuition. And the way you know you're connected to your intuition is, does it feel good? So when you're logically trying to figure it out, how does it feel in your body?
It's hard because it doesn't make sense.
Ah,
Yeah.
right, which creates the disconnect from you.
Yeah.
And you can't heal when you're disconnected from you. Because when you're disconnected, guess what? You're amping up your cortisol levels, and the high enough cortisol level starts to put the body in automatic fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, the body cannot release the stuff that's been stuck there forever. And that's why this course is so different, because it really talks to the root of this, which is a woman's body cannot heal in a logical way. We've been taught by Western society and medicine and doctors and the FDA and big pharma and psychology. You have to figure it out. And that works for a man because a man is more programmed logically. He's simple. They're feelers, they're definitely emotional creatures, but their operating system is more geared towards logic. The majority of the medical community is run by men. And so they have no idea what a woman's going through. They can't even comprehend the sheer strength and fierceness. Can you imagine if a male fucking had to go through menopause? The world would shut the fuck down. And he would demand a true system for healing from the ground up. There's no way men would even be able to function running the world, right? Or the financial institutions and the banks and the governments. And yes, women are starting to take over the world in a different way, which is why I'm so passionate about this experience, is because we have to come back to our intuition. And logic is the way we learn to fit in, but our intuition is the way that we stand out and thrive in body, mind, spirit, family, relationships, money, all the things.
That's interesting for me. I've always been a rule follower and everything in a space and all this stuff. And then I think that I probably have shut down that intuition side for so long, and I need to embrace that.
We don't want to take the rule follower out of you if that's part of who you are, but we want to use that rule follower to your advantage. So, what if one of your rules is, I'm going to start to pay attention to my intuition? And that doesn't mean that you need to know what it's saying. It just means that you catch yourself in your logical mind and go, oh, that's not getting me anywhere. The logic feels dense. It feels hard. Feels like I'm hitting a brick wall. It feels like I'm continuing to run in circles like a gerbil in a hamster wheel. Can you all relate to this? Where it falls apart because a woman's foundation was not meant to live on logic. It was meant to include logic, but not only logic. And so that's where we're being invited to, and intuition could simply be like, does what this person said, does it feel like it resonates with me, or does it feel like I need to take it on as a rule? And so you just want to start to pay attention. Does it contract your energy? Does it expand your energy? Does it make your shoulders hunch? Can you feel it in your throat? Those are the way that a woman is wired, is to get back to her feeling nature by going, oh, where do I feel this in my body? Like right now, this conversation, and this is really weird, I feel it in my right armpit. I have no idea why. I've never felt my right armpit before in a call. I can feel in my body where someone else's body is stuck. That's why I'm able to do what I do. That's why I'm the type of healer that I am. And I just don't take it on. The very thing of your logic is why your lymph in your right armpit is in needing a logical explanation for why, so you could possibly find a logical solution that matches your logical explanation of why, that might not match the true thing. You're being invited to not dismiss your logic, but not run your life on your logic. Very different. So we want to use your logic. Oh, it's logical to start to pay attention to my body because women's bodies are intuitive, which simply means they are far more adept at tracking emotions. And it just might be something that as a young child, it wasn't safe to be too emotional, overly emotional, have too many needs. And so logic was your survival mechanism. And I bet these moves are trying to get you back. Because when you were a baby, you weren't logical. No babies are logical except for like feed me, change my fucking diaper, and let me sleep in peace, right? If you get around a baby, they're all energy. They just emit energy. Women's bodies are the same. We emit an energy, but over time, we've learned to stuff it, which is why our bodies have been breaking down. I know that's a lot.
But it all makes sense. It all resonates.
And that's the logic, right? Actually, more emotional than logical, but you are logical. I'm over analytical, which definitely got me in trouble for way too long because I was constantly trying to figure out what's the root cause of my pain. 20-year hamster wheel. And so the body is like, we just want you to release the emotions. We just want to come back and feel safe. When you do the moves, do you notice that you feel more connected to your body? Do you notice you feel more peaceful and you have more space in your head? That's how we're supposed to function. Women are receivers. But in this process where our roles have gotten reversed, we became the givers and then we started over giving. We emptied our tank and then we got resentful or angry or we stifled our voice. and we had no capacity to receive. And a woman's true nature is when she's in the receptive mode, when she's receiving, receiving awareness, receiving compliments, receiving feedback, receiving information from all different places, but not necessarily having to do anything with that information. Pretty powerful. And so it's funny, I can feel your head being like, oh my God, this is going to be hard, right? You're like, but your body's like, oh, but your head's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Going through my mind was, I just need to drop on the ground and do my somatic moves like every hour on the day so I keep that feeling.
hmm Well, and here's the deal. This, like, you guys literally could do this throughout the call whenever you want. You take your hands. This is a 2-minute technique that you can do anywhere. We did it in the beginning of the call. And then you yawn, right? Yes. Do you notice that your head is starting to drop and not be so like, how do I figure this out? How do I figure this out? Oh my God, I better do something about it. Oh my God, I better drop on the floor right now. This actually takes that monkey mind out of it. There you go. Anything that gets you back to feeling your body is going to help you. So instead of how do I get out of my head? How do I get out of my head? How do I get out of my head? Maybe the rule is how do I get into my body? See the difference? How do I get into my body? How do I change the pattern that I've built for 50 years or 40 something years and get back into my body?
I think that that's key because I often spend way too much time in my head worried about things that don't need to be worrying about, never happen. That's a big reminder to me how do I get back into my body.
Ding. So maybe that's your rule for the week. My rule for the week is practice getting into my body, finding ways that I notice I can do it on my own. It might even be patting your head. It could be rubbing your face. It could be doing your cheeks. Yeah, exactly. That's a great one for you, especially because a lot of your stuff is in the neck. Check out how hard the neck has to work to try to navigate the fight between the head and the body. Head's like, I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out. And the body's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And so your neck has been holding that for years. There you go. And so, would you be willing to let your body release? And anyone that this applies to, none of us, right? Me included, right? Is to go, oh, I don't have to fight this anymore. You wouldn't want your husband and you to think the exact same way. You actually appreciate that the two of you are different. And then you take the difference and you get on the same page. So it isn't about firing the head or firing the body. It's, oh, the head has an agenda to keep me safe. The body has an agenda to keep me safe. They go at it from two totally different angles. But can we be on the same page? Yeah, we both want to be safe. Okay, cool. We're on the same page, just from different operating systems. That way, you don't have to discount one or the other. You learn to integrate them in a way that actually is authentic to you and doesn't discount, because you are smart and brilliant and really fast with pattern recognition in certain ways. You can give certain answers really quickly. We don't want to lose that. We don't want to fire that. That's a gift that you have. But how do we then integrate it or soften it so there's also room for the body and vice versa? So the body also makes room for the head. And then they're working towards the same goal, which is to keep you safe and to keep you regulated. Pretty cool. That's why we've had such a hard time healing. We've been trying to do it logically. We've been trying to come up with an explanation. But at the end of the day, our bodies are tired, one, of being silenced, two, of running on high stress, high cortisol, three, not feeling safe to authentically be ourselves and speak up and feel. Because women deal with a level of safety that men will never understand. What I love about this nervous system regulation technique, the somatic freedom techniques, is that they're designed to slowly heal your body from the inside out so that decades of what has been silenced or stuffed or suppressed can finally come out. So, yeah, we will get the logical on some level. You know, I love to process logical. I love to get to the meat and potatoes of what's underneath, but we can't do it only logic. We have to include the body's movement and combine the two in order to get there. It's fascinating. This is why, you guys, you're not fucked up. We've been given the wrong healing solution for a woman's fucking body. A woman's body will never heal logically. She has to heal intuitively or through the emotional body by sitting with what's in the energy of the emotion. There you go. You want to do one more? So let's say hi to the tailbone. That one's a big one. That one's like, which makes sense why you've had so many digestive issues for so long. Your whole route of being able to eliminate, being able to relax has been compromised probably since you were two, maybe even before that. And then not only compromised, but silenced and threatened. Well, a year ago, you would have not been able to do this. It would have felt too traumatizing and too exposing. This is a safe place for all of you to get to the bottom of what's been there. And none of it's wrong. None of it's your fault. It's the fact of the how we logicize or mentally experience the trauma after the trauma is what actually the trauma is. We're taking our time. We're not forcing it because
Hmm.
the body parts don't want to be forced. That's like being around someone who's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you're like, I'm trying. And the more they say you hurry up, at least for me, it takes me three times longer because I can't function under that energy. We don't ever want to rush these parts that may have been holding decades of fear and silence and trauma and anger and terror and resentment and scared and not safe. When we regulate the nervous system, it's safe enough to relax just a little bit. Even a 0.5% makes a huge difference. Women who are going through menopause, hormone changes, autoimmune, undiagnosable or uncurable things, they just keep getting another diagnosis and then another medication. It's exhausting and it's frustrating. And deep down, the body just wants to be held and go, we can't logic our way out of this. So why don't we sit long enough with the energy and give the energy permission when it's ready to release in its own time. Now they feel safe that you witnessed and held space for them releasing. Every week, what is it? Live clarity workshop sessions, mini workshop sessions, because that's what we're doing. We're workshopping out the way a woman's body workshops her way into healing.